Welcome to the Lean Lounge, a podcast brought to you by Lean Revisions. Please welcome your host, Jeff Gray.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lean Lounge. My name is Jeff Gray, and I'm your host here at the Lean Lounge, brought to you by Lean Revisions. I want to thank our sponsors, KPI Fire and Sigma XL, and anyone else who would like to join being a sponsor here to the Lean Lounge, where we talk about everything under the Lean Operations umbrella. Any concepts that'll help you with leadership styles, any challenges you have out there. The Lean Lounge is here to bring in people to bring together, help you put the piece of the puzzle together to be successful out there in your organizations. And today, I have an awesome friend that I've known for, 6, 8 months now, Kimberly Martin from Cyneburg Services. And welcome, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. It's a Monday morning and it's not raining, so that's always good for us construction people.
Yeah, when it's raining, you're training, right? I hear that's what you do.
Yeah, no, some days when it's raining, I'm still out on a deck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So before we dive in, Kimberly, to our conversation, just tell the audience, who you are, what you do, and what you bring to the lounge today. Some nuggets of knowledge you might take away.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I own Cyneburg Services, Inc., and I've been doing that for 9 years now. But my background, I was actually born and raised in the state of Washington, little town called Yakima. Went to both Washington State University and then transferred to University of Washington. So I'm a turncoat from what people say.
Yeah.
But my degree actually is graphic design. I spent a decade in that industry, got tired of being behind a computer, because that's where my life was, in that industry, and really realized that I, like my grandfather and great-grandfather before me, I love working with my hands. So construction made the most sense to me. So I got into that back in, I want to say 2008, 2009. And,
wow.
Worked my way out of doing graphic design and being behind a desk, and kind of went full-time working for somebody. And then, as my dad says, working for somebody means you have to answer to their clock, not your own. So
That's right.
2015, I went out on my own, and the rest is kind of history.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Graphic design to construction, woman in construction. That's a leap. That's completely different from indoors to outdoors.
It is and it isn't. I mean, graphic design, you were always solving people's problems visually, right? You were solving the problems visually. That's really what you did. With construction, now I solve them in a physical world, but it's still problem solving. So while it's a different medium, the concepts of them are not really that different.
Interesting. I guess, I guess going from the computer and mapping it out to being out there in the back or what side or whatever it is that you're doing. So do you build commercial decks?
No, I'm primarily residential.
Residential. Okay.
Yeah. So I like working with one-on-one with homeowners, just because it's not by committee or by, I spent 10 years in corporate America doing graphic design. It's always by committee.
Yes.
Nice working with the homeowners, because the committee is usually one or two, husband, wife.
Right.
But it's, like I said, I really enjoy that perspective of it, and making somebody's home really kind of their own castle.
I love that. Yeah, when I bought my last home, this 20 years ago, I built a huge deck because I didn't want to have to do yard work.
Yes.
And the house before that, we had almost like a quarter acre. And I had a deck, a 2-layer deck. The top layer was like 9 by 14. So in Washington, when it rained, it's still barbecue. And the bottom was 40 by 24.
Yeah. I've done one almost that big.
Yeah, it was humongous. It was a party deck. The whole neighborhood would come over in the summer. We'd have you could fit 100 people on this thing. The kids would ride their big wheels and their Batmobiles and their Barbie Jeeps around, and that way you could keep an eye on them without them falling off and going in. So it adds flair to the outdoors and in the environment. I love that. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And especially in the Seattle, Washington area, when we have rain so much of the year, or at least wet days,
Yeah.
When we have good days, people want us. I mean, the inside out is huge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
when I started doing construction and stuff, I kind of fell into the decks and realized how much I loved it. And then that just kind of incorporated into, I also do a lot of landscape installs, which is kind of an extension of the decks
Right.
but it's I've done a few inside projects, but I love the outside, even on rainy
So
days.
even on rain. So do
And there
you
are
have a
days where the
crew?
rain wins.
Yeah. Do you have a crew? You bring people in and out, or subcontractors, or
No,
you do it
I
all
do
yourself?
probably 99% of the work myself.
99% yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How does
I've
that work?
tried
I
to bring a
mean,
few people in, and the problem I've got with that at this point is I'm a perfectionist, which some people have a hard time living up to that. And it's
yeah.
funny. I mean, even in the previous company where I really kind of learned some of the trade, I always
Uh-huh.
outwork men, right? And it's if you
Yeah.
keep up with me, then what am I paying you for?
Yeah. Interesting.
But we'll see. At some point I'll have to bring somebody on and train them because I can't do it forever.
Yeah, I mean, you're hauling stuff, you're building from the ground up, so you're putting in the cement blocks and you're laying the
Mm-hmm.
foundation and
Mm-hmm.
wow,
Oh
nice.
yeah.
So what kind of challenges do you experience when you're out there on your own and talking to homeowners, and what kind of things are challenging and how do you overcome some of those?
Well, with homeowners and stuff, usually when I'm talking to specifically a husband and wife, it's and I get asked the same question you asked, do you bring, and I'm like, no, I do it myself. Usually I get
Yeah.
from usually the husband, right? The right?
I know.
This is the
That's
look I get. And the wife is kind of like, yeah,
yeah.
you know. Um so it's and but it is it's one of those, it's to me it's more of a I don't really consider it a challenge. It's just another step to overcome, right? It's just it's making the husband understand that women can do it. And when I start showing I always bring in some of the work I've done
Oh
previously,
yeah.
right? Just stuff.
Right.
Start showing it. All of a sudden, the guy kind of goes, "Oh, yeah, nice. All right, where do we sign?" Right? So it's kind of fun in that respect to kind of break some of those barriers. I'd say the hardest is there are times where, like especially when I'm doing second story decks, right? You
Yeah.
learn more about geometry and physics doing decks
Yeah.
than I ever would have expected, right? So
Yeah.
for they're thinking this, know your math.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I have learned, I've learned tricks that work for me. They may not work for every deck builder, but I've created ways to, I don't do ladders anymore. I bring in scaffolding. It's just safer for me.
Yeah.
I've just learned, you learn physics and how to use your body weight. I've become ambidextrous because you can't always use your right hand. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
I mean, there's times where you're kind of, and don't tell Osha this, where you're kind of hanging off the deck and trying to, you just can't do it with your right hand, right? It just doesn't work. So,
Right.
but in terms of the industry, because I'm also involved, with my local HBA, Home Builders Association,
Okay.
got me involved in the state association, and then eventually into the national association. Is it's still, when I started in the industry, women were roughly around 9% of the industry, right? We're
Yeah.
the population, 9% of the construction industry.
Yes.
In the decade or more that I've been in it, we're now closer to 11, 12%. But we're
Across the
still
nation?
4% of the actual in the field workforce. That number
Wow.
hasn't really changed.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always been about educating other women. I'm somewhat of, people call me a unicorn because I do work in the field, but I still have a lot of the knowledge of running an office and doing all the back end, work.
Uh-huh.
That's where you see a lot of women. They're the estimators, they're the project managers, they've become part of the business because their husband had the business when they married it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
The accounting people, they're not necessarily the frontline, electricians and that. We're working on it. There's programs
Yeah.
out that we're definitely doing. But for me, it's been a continual education of showing people that just because I work with my hands doesn't mean I'm not successful. Doesn't mean
yeah.
not a strong, bad, okay, I won't say the word, a word, woman, right? You know, in fact, one of my favorite things that I do to kind of my downtime is I actually watch a lot of old U.S. women's national team games and stuff like that, because they've the YouTube and that sort of thing. And I remember after the 2019 World Cup, they went to the White House. 2015 World Cup. They went to the White House. And I watched that, where Obama was the president. And he said, being a girl in sports means you're a serious bad, A word.
Yeah.
It was literally right on live TV. And it was just like, he's right. It's the same thing with women in construction, right? Women in construction are super strong. We have a lot of strengths that guys don't have, but it's educating. It's educating the men, right?
Yeah.
Educating the women.
Yeah.
So,
once you're out in the field and you're holding your own, then a lot of these guys are probably going, "Whoa, she's kicking some ass over here. I better step it up a little bit."
And in my previous company, it was. I mean, every time I went to a new job site, right, where we had new people or whatever, I had to outwork the men to get the respect.
Yeah.
Once I got it, it was very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
but once you got it, then they're like your big brother.
Yes.
Supportive, right? Yeah.
Yes. Very supportive.
Got your back. Yeah. Yeah. You just have to prove yourself,
And that's a challenge that any woman in the industry, whether they're in the office or whether they're, wife or whether they're actually out in the field. I mean, that concept is changing because a lot of them are being brought in. They're getting more educated. The women are getting educated. So a lot of the current construction people, those that are in their 40s and 50s, really learned it on the job.
Yeah.
But a lot of those that are going to construction now are still learning on the job because that experience is huge. But there's a lot more classroom settings specific to carpentry, specific to electricians. So a lot of the women that are coming in are educated in the theories and concepts of it long before they actually get out to the job sites.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because you went from graphic design right into a company. But I was going to ask you, are there schools and trade schools and stuff like that? Like you just said, there's electricians.
There's a number of them across the country. So our National Association of Home Builders has a program that they created called HBI. It's the Home Builders Institute. And they go to schools and actually create programs in schools. And I think we've got a couple come in Washington. I know they're working on it. But they come in and they do a lot of training, and they do them over different areas. I know in the Seattle area, we have the Wood Technology, which does a lot of the carpentry and a few things like that. Edmonds Community College has some, mainly on the project management side. I don't know if they have the carpentry side. In my hometown of Yakima, and I've just spaced the name of it. I said all of a sudden it's like, Perry Institute.
Cool.
Programs, electrician, mechanical. A couple of years ago, they started a carpentry program. So in the state, there's quite a bit, but around the country, there is even more.
Yeah. Construction is humongous. I went to a conference last Saturday, and just the state alone has like $2 billion for this year, biennium or whatever in just construction projects. They're more, I'm sure, the bigger ones, but still, it's a big, I mean, everything, every building we're in, every road we drive, I mean, it's been built. And that's part of it. My cousin down in LA, he was the city planner for Pasadena. And so that's construction, that's planning, that's your natural gas systems, your earthquake, preparedness. I mean, he was telling me all this stuff. He's an architecture.
It's where it starts. You got to plan it to be able to build it.
Exactly. And then design it in the geometry and a little bit of that math that none of us really wanted to learn back in 8th grade. That's when it applies. If the 8th grade teacher would have told me, here's the dimensions to build this, whatever, I probably would have sunk in a little better instead of just reading a book and trying to remember a formula. So I like the fact that you brought in this math. And you can make a lot of money doing this stuff too, can't you?
You absolutely can. So, we talk about, because right now we've gotten the ability for through our Washington state law system, we've actually gotten the ability for the counselors in schools to now talk about technical programs. Because we as adults and people in the industry know that not everybody is geared to college.
Right.
Not for everybody. Some people are just super good with their hands. So we've now that's programs that they're now again talking about at the high school level.
Yeah.
We're going to obviously get into a little bit more the middle school level and teach them that this is a viable, but here's the thing. So somebody goes to college, right? Call it UW, right? UW, when you add in books, tuition, that sort of thing, let's just say you're about $20,000 a year. And that's probably conservative estimate.
That's conservative. Yeah.
Right? Say 20 a year, you're a 4-year degree. So you coming out of college, you're already $80,000 in debt, unless you've got wealthy parents or ones that were smart and started some sort of, but you have debt, right? The average college job that most people get into makes somewhere between 38 and 47,000 a year.
Wow.
And a lot over in all industries, right?
Yeah.
But you got $80,000 worth of debt.
Right.
So a trade program, 1 year, most of them get paid for, right? So you have no debt coming out of after a year. Starting electricians make, I think, and I'll have to check my numbers, but you're somewhere around $52,000 a year for a apprentice tech electrician.
Right.
No debt.
No debt.
So you're making the same as somebody with a 4-year degree after 1 year with no debt.
Yeah. And usually when you're the residential stuff you're doing, those 4-year degrees are paying you to build their deck.
Yes. Oh, yes, they are. And they pay a lot.
I know. That's why.
Let's just be honest. But that's in residential. I mean, you get into commercial, right? And you get unionized. I mean, that's even bigger numbers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I met a carpenter in a union the other day. He's taking home after his union dues, 25 years in the industry. He's taking home almost $200,000 a year.
Yeah. I know.
He's training more than he's actually working. Right?
He's what? He's
training more than he's actually working. I mean, he goes on to job sites and he's training the new guys how to do what he knows how to do.
Yeah. So, once you get to that level of experience, then it's time to pass the knowledge. I love that, because there are some little things when you get out in the field, there's always something, a change drawing or a pipe is here or a line, something you didn't think about. So you got to change it. You got to, teach them how to work around it and be, more efficient and effective and hit the budget and hit the quality. All of those things. Wow. So much stuff. Yeah. I like what you just said there about, because we work a lot with trade schools and get grants and stuff like we were talking about, at the networking event not too long ago. And I like the fact that, you're sharing that you can be a plumber, an electrician, you can be a designer, you can do all kinds of things, electrician that are part of the planner, all that stuff. Get out in the field. Go, even if you're thinking about it, get out there on a sunny day first.
It does make their job a little bit easier, but the thing is there are a lot of people that start in the field that go into and can take schooling to become project manager to move up the ladder.
Right.
But if it is a project manager that spent time in the field, understands how to manage the people in the field.
Yeah.
Somebody that just went to school for it. Not that there's not some great project managers that went just to school, but if you've not been in the trenches, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just like me with the lean stuff I do. I learned in the trenches. I was building airplanes at Boeing many years ago. So looking at all of these methods and applying them now makes me able to go share the knowledge and what works, what doesn't in all those environments. So same kind of thing in your industry is you need to do it. That's why I tell a lot of people too, go do the work you have in your people do. So you understand it. You can help lead them through challenges and you can help them with issues and things. So if you haven't experienced it, then your rubber's not hitting the road as well, I think.
Yeah, there was I'm trying to think, there was a TV show that did that where the CEOs would disguise themselves and go, I thought that was great because they learned so much more about their company at the ground level than you
Yes.
ever do in the boardroom.
Yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah.
just need more people in the industry. I mean, nationwide, I think we have over 400,000 open construction jobs right now. Open,
Wow.
like
Wow.
waiting to be filled. Not enough people in it.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever, you just reminded me of something. Have you ever gone to the AGC Expo in Las Vegas? They have like every couple years.
That's more the
Constru-
commercial side. So
Is it? Okay.
that's the AGC is the commercial side. So we
Okay.
go through our national association is involved in the International Building Show.
Oh,
Which also has the it's called KBIZ, Kitchen Bath International.
okay.
So I think is what I right. I don't do
Okay.
exterior, so but
Yeah.
it's also in Las Vegas.
Cool.
Worry. So I've been to that, you know, I'm as part of the National Association. I do that. The show is only 3 days and it
Okay.
is
Right.
crazy.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
down there for 7 because I do a lot of other meetings and stuff to
Right.
learn how to be really better at my job.
Right.
Tons of education and stuff down there. Always new products that I try to go spend some time on the floor and do.
Yeah.
But last year we took up South Hall, West Hall, North Hall, and Central Hall.
Yeah.
So
Of the
over 1 million
convention.
square feet of
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
with vendors. So
And
it's
that was
huge.
at the Las Vegas Convention Center, right there.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
one we went to right when COVID was hitting. We were there right when it hit.
Yes.
And they had to
2020.
close the show down. Yeah. And there
Mm.
was 100,
I was there.
120,000 people. And the coolest thing, we were walking through, we were there for like a week. And we were walking through just one big, huge building after another. There was so many tools and software and trucks and cranes and I was just amazed at how
Mhm.
big this was. I mean, there was 120,000 people from all over the planet.
Mhm.
And I'm just
It's
walking
gotten
through going,
bigger.
yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things. The tooling, some of the trucks and the technology they're bringing together, I thought
Yeah.
was very cool. So,
Yeah.
it's a huge industry, and you can make
Yeah.
a lot of money
A-
at it.
A-
You know.
AI is working its way into construction, specifically on the planning and some of those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really in the field as much.
Yeah.
I think that will come. Well, it'll come because the AI will help make it, make more efficient how
Yes.
you build it, right?
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
go through
Planning.
and it'll create new pathways for that. It'll also help make tools more intuitive,
Yeah.
right? And some of
Yeah.
those kinds of things. But for your interior work in terms of in office stuff, I know AI is definitely a topic of conversation that I've had with
Really.
my state people and my national people.
Yeah, I could see with like design and layout and flow, structure. Yeah,
Mhm.
I could see a lot of that helping with the design and the drawings and the procurement
Yeah.
and some of those kind of things. I
We
can see
saw some
that.
of that last year's show. I think this year's show, we're going to see even more of it.
Yeah, because what it does is it just basically takes our data and figures out, turns it and burns it and puts in the algorithms to try to make things more efficient and effective and streamlined. And yeah, I mean, that's all part of cost reduction, being on time with your budgets, having your products where you need them, when you need them, delivered to the site or whatever, whether it's deck or big construction, it's all that system and how it all functions together. That's what, that's what I love about doing this podcast, is talk about the systems and the processes, the challenges and the technology that we all bring in different industries.
Yeah.
You're in construction. I've had authors on who write books for leadership. We do lean. We've got, people who do credit and finance stuff. That's all part of operating a business successfully, and looking at tools. What you just said with AI out in the field of construction, somebody in a hospital might have said, wow, we haven't looked at that yet. How does that help with our operating room flow? How does that help with our setting up for a successful surgery? I mean, something completely different, but you can leverage. And so that's what I love about this. Yeah, I love about this.
Oh, yeah.
So If someone was joining in, male or female, into the industry, what would be some kind of nuggets of knowledge that you would share with some young person or any person, even someone who's in their 30s going, I'm tired of being a tech. I want to go out in the field. What do I do?
I don't want to sit like I'm doing now. I don't want to sit behind the computer, 9-10 hours a day, right? That's exactly where I was. There's a couple of things, right? It's if you can get into, even if you can do some sort of a trade program, training program or something, outside of your work, because it's one of those that I get, people got to make a living.
Right.
Programs where you can do some continuing education and do that.
Yeah.
Second is, if you don't know what you want to do, is find somebody that's in the industry that can talk to you, a mentor that is real and can talk to you about, there's hardships, right? Being a plumber, there are days, I'm sure being a plumber is not a lot of fun. Okay. Just be honest, right?
Yeah.
But there's probably, it all depends upon which kind of the side of the plumbing you go into, whether it's just installs, whether it's the maintenance side. I started with my other company, I started on the maintenance side of irrigation systems.
Wow.
Let me tell you, digging up pipes 12 inches below your feet and trying to fix them, that was not a good time.
Yeah.
Be smarter about how I installed those irrigation systems to not come up with the problems that I was always facing, right?
Yeah.
So finding a mentor is great. If you've got a local home building association in your area, go in and talk to them, right? They may know somebody that's looking for an apprentice that maybe needs somebody on a part-time basis, or, maybe on a weekend that you can start kind of on a Saturday, because there's a lot of us during the summer that work Saturdays. So maybe on a Saturday they could work for some hours to see if it's really something they want to do, but not lose the income they have, right? Don't have money put away that they can go, oh, I can live without an income for, 6 months, or a much smaller income for 6 months while I'm an internship.
Right.
And then trade programs, right? Anytime you can get into any kind of a trade program, if you can jump all in and get into a trade program, a lot of those can be subsidized with grants and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But talking to your local HBA to find where those are in your area is always good. And then with everything that's out on the internet, education, right? Go to YouTube and go, what does a carpenter do? Right. And watch some videos of what the different things are, to try to kind of narrow it down to what you're really looking for.
What your interests are, and the balance, and the money that you can make, and
all that stuff is online. So it's like, okay, what's the average, for somebody in, specifically, and you gotta understand, carpentry has a lot of different areas, right? There's a finished carpenter, they're going to make more money because they have to be much more particular about how things look. There's a framing carpenter, right? There's a general carpenter that comes in and just, does all the bits and pieces and the little doodads that need to be done.
Right.
So there's cabinet carpenters, right? All they do is build cabinetry. That's a whole different level than a framing carpenter.
Yeah.
So, and within the industries, if you want to do stone, right? There's brick, there's raw stone, there's cultured stone, there's man-made stone. All those take different knowledge.
Yeah.
Tile. And even within tile, you have differences.
Yeah.
So
very cool. See, people probably, I hadn't thought about the stone and all that. I tried doing tile once, backsplash, and it didn't work.
You have to be very precise, and it all depends on the type of tile, right? There's a lot of different tiles out there. Ceramic is probably one of the easier ones to use, right? I did porcelain. Not so easy to use. Very fragile.
So what my mom did, it was so funny. I tried to do this tile. I messed it up. So my mom went to one of the big box stores and bought these stick-on tiles. So I just sanded the paint down to kind of the wall, and it looked horrible.
They've improved.
But this was
stick-on tiles
15 years ago. It was really bad. So I had a professional come in and fix it all before I sold the place, because I just had it so when I was cooking, I didn't have the backsplash. But anyway, very interesting on just the different types. And I like the fact there's resources out there for anyone. looking to change, yeah, I mean, people might get tired of sitting at a desk, and try to get out there in the
Or
environments
get
and depending on where,
downsized.
or what?
Or
Yeah,
get downsized,
or get
right?
downsizing. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And it's
that's,
good.
as AI comes more into the technology and some of those, that
Yeah,
there is going to be some downsizing. And let's
yeah.
face it, construction industry is not really going to see a downsizing because
No.
people still need homes to live in. They still need roads to drive on. They still need buildings to work in.
Yeah. Yeah. And factories to make things in and hospital. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the population is expanding.
Yes.
So we need, and there's lots of land all over the planet. And yeah,
Mhm.
construction is, it's everything. It's everything. Whether you're building a ship, you're building a house, building a deck, you're building a building, whatever. So all types of opportunities. Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So,
Yeah.
a lot of ways
Yeah.
people get
So
into it.
how do people get a hold of you for your services? What's your contact information and your
Easiest way to
organization you're involved in again?
Yeah, no, so I'm in the Seattle area. So I primarily work Marysville down through about Victoria on the what we call the east side of the Seattle area, and then I work, kind of Linwood, Edmonds, Everett, right? I try not to go into downtown Seattle. It's not exactly
Yeah.
related to vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vehicles my size. But it depends. I mean, if I get referred, I've got a couple of jobs down in Lake Tapps, which is well south of where I normally would work.
Right.
It's people that I know. So it just depends upon that. But the easiest way to get a hold of me is my website is www.Cyneburg Services Inc. And that's CYNEBURGSERVICSINC.com. I know it's kind of long.
We'll put it on the TM here so people can see
Yes,
it.
it is kind of long, and I know Cyneburg is, most people sort of try to spell it with an S, right? It is a C, it's Gaelic.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so that's actually how I came up with the name. It's a Gaelic, which is my history. But through the website really is the easiest. My website information and my LinkedIn profile and all those are linked in through my website. At least I assume they is. My web designer does all that, right? I'm now too
Cool.
busy out in the industry doing construction that even though I'm
Yeah.
done standing, I just don't have time. I can't do it all. So my niece actually has been trained to do that, so she takes care of all that stuff.
Very cool.
Gotta
Very
keep it in
cool.
the family. So
There you go. That's what we do.
yeah,
Mason
so
and I
she
run.
handles all that social media and stuff. I'm also listed if you're, in the King and Snohomish County. I'm with Master Builders of King and Snohomish County, so you can always contact them and get my information as well.
Nice, nice. Easy to get a hold of, and some of the best work you guys will ever have. Kimberly's a badass, so reach out.
Jeff did see some of my work. I took a phone and showed him some of my work. Unfortunately, he lives in a condo, but I, here's the thing, right? When I got into business for myself, right? My dad had been in business for himself for 35 years. He gave me 2 pieces of advice, and I took those to heart, and I still think today. He said, treat everybody's home like it's your own. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. First and foremost, if you're going to do that sort of thing, treat everybody's home like it's your own, or everybody's yard like it's your own. And then you're going to put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
Piece of advice he gave me is he says, working for yourself, just remember you work whichever half days you want. It doesn't matter which 12 hours the clock you work.
Yeah. That's another one people don't realize. It's not a 9 to 5.
No, and in construction is more like 7 to 4.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of nights where at 9 o'clock I'm on the computer doing bills or bids or you got to do all that sort of thing unless you try to hire some of that out.
Yeah. But the thing too is yesterday was Sunday and I would turn on the football game. This TV behind me that says the Lean Lounge is actually a TV where I can be in my office studio and edit things over there and watch football on this thing. And I was in here until probably 7:30 last night on a Sunday, but it's not a job because you like it, I like it. I like this show. I like editing it. I like, working on it. So even though you're working 10-hour days or whatever, it doesn't feel like it. I would think for you, when you're out there and you're in your environment and you're building a physical deck and making the whole outside look great. It's therapeutic too, isn't it? And it's
Oh yeah, demo days
good
are
when
great.
you're done.
Yeah, when I'm done, it's nice. I sometimes forget to take pictures along the way. But
Yeah.
I always love the finish, right? It's you get to kind of hand it off to the client, which is great. But demo days are kind of fun too because it's a really great way to get rid of any kind of stress or aggression you have that day. To wax something today, that's gonna be fun, right?
You don't have any
Sometimes I like
aggression,
the
do
start
you?
of when I'm doing a landscape install, sometimes the start of that is nice because it's like, oh, today I get to run the Bobcat all day, or I got to bring an excavator in all day, right? So that's kind of fun and different, something I do every now and then. But yeah, so there's different pieces that I love, but putting it all together and and depend upon each client, but seeing their eyes light up when it's
Yeah.
in process or we finally finish this part of it and they can like it. Because the first few days of construction, it's always ugly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
ugly. So, when they start to see it come together and their eyes kind of light up and go, oh, wow. Okay, I can see what you were doing now.
Right. Right.
It's a great feeling.
The feeling of accomplishment, and you can see it, and it lasts for a long, long time. You know?
Yes.
And the enjoyment of it that everybody gets out of it too. That's awesome. Well, awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. This was fun.
Yeah. We'll have you back on again. I'm sure we'll be at some of those networking events also soon, and we'll have a real toast in the lounge.
I'll have more stories.
I'll love it. That's what we're all about is stories, sharing knowledge, bringing people together. And I really like all the different pieces of construction and the ideas that how this can help other people in other industries too. It's benchmarking, and sharing that knowledge. So I want to thank you, Kimberly, for joining us here in the Lean Lounge.
Absolutely.
And those of you listening, you can find us anywhere on any of the major podcast platforms. Again, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Sirius, and everybody else out there. That's one other thing I was doing last night was getting us on Amazon Music. So that was one of the things I was doing. So if you want to be a sponsor, feel free to reach out, contact@leanrevisions.com and join our team. And thank you, Kimberly, very much. And I'll see you soon.
Very much so.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk soon. Take care.
For more information on today's show or to become a sponsor, visit leanrevisions.com. Join the virtual studio audience by emailing podcast@leanrevisions.com for tickets. Follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. This podcast is hosted by Jeff Gray, produced and edited by Make Your Day Richer.